Hello. You won't shoot the messenger? Well, thank you. Appreciate that. Not trying to be shot. Um, okay. I hope that the sound is good. I'll have to ask when people actually get in the room because nobody's here, but you know what? This is one of those conversations. Perhaps it's better I'm by myself. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it's good to just have a conversation by yourself because I'm pretty sure everything I'm about to say, I'm absolutely not supposed to say. It's highly inappropriate, oppressive. I'm sure there's a list. I'm positive people will tell me where I went wrong in the comment section, and that's okay. Um, do I sound like I am in a big empty room? Do I sound like, you know how it sounds when people are just like in an empty? Do I sound like I'm in a warehouse? Tell me. I'm curious. So let's go into all the things I'm not supposed to say, but I'm going to say. Um, so, women are disposable accessories. This is the spirit of the day, right? The idea that women are disposable. And I want to talk about how women contribute to this, how they contribute to them being considered disposable, and what the culture is looking like right now, which is very woman hating. And how bisexuals, I even see that plot twist coming, right? How how bisexual women have infiltrated the ranks, bisexual black women specifically, have infiltrated the ranks of the average black female community and are spewing rhetoric that further dehumanizes us, right? So, yeah, let's start there. Okay. So first of all, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's somewhere between, depending on which statistic you go with, there's somewhere between 19 and 23% of Black women who identify as bisexual. This is not even counting fully homosexual gay women. I mean, fully homosexual gay women. That's a bit redundant. This is not counting just the lesbians. Now, granted, to me, bisexuality and being a lesbian are really the same thing. But for the sake of this conversation, we're going to pretend like they're two different things, right? So there are women who only will be in relationships with other women, right? And then there are women who say they swing both ways. I was actually pretty shocked when I found out that 19 to 23% of Black women identified as bisexual. That is a ginormous number, you guys. This is like a huge number of women who identify as bisexual. Why am I bringing this up? Because they come into Black female spaces and they really don't like men per se. They like a certain type of man. And it is only that type of man that they promote and are comfortable with. If you watch my video, trans anti-black misogyny and toxic masculinity, I talked a little bit about this infiltration, but I want to talk about it in the sense of that with our spaces infiltrated, there are narratives that are pushed. Where, for one, I have like a whole list of things, you guys. I have a list of like 5 or 6 things, and I just want to go through them. My first point is they promote only liking a certain type of man. When you allow these women into our heterosexual Black female spaces, they promote only liking a certain type of man. These men are feminine, right? These are the men that are your metrosexuals, your Renaissance men. These are the men who have a feminine twist to them. These are your transgender men, men who put on dresses and call themselves women. Oh, they love them, right? These are your men who will wear skirts. These are your 2 Chainz, put on a skirt. These are your Dennis Rodmans, wear nail polish, right? And they have a lot of clever arguments. See, the thing is, because they're bisexual, they can engage in conversation from a straight woman's perspective because technically they claim to sleep with men, right? The thing is, they really don't like men like that. What they like are men who are weakened, in a weakened state, men who are feminine. And they have a lot of arguments that you'll hear, and this is how you know what they're peddling, right? They have all these arguments as to why femininity in men is desirable, even if they don't come right out and say it, right? So, one argument that I think is a really cute argument is when our spaces are infiltrated by these bisexual women. So, when they come into straight female spaces, they'll say things like, well, if femininity is a negative thing in men, then what does that say about society's views on women? If women are the essence of femininity and femininity in men is disgusting, does it follow that society is disgusted with women? They play like word trickery like that. You know what I'm saying? Word trickery. That's like me saying if a dung beetle eats poop, you know, dung beetles, they're these little beetles. Does everybody know what a dung beetle is? A dung beetle is a little beetle that eats feces. That's what it does. It eats feces, right? Dung beetles eat feces. They eat poop. That's how they survive. They roll it up, they munch on it, they roll it into balls. It's very disgusting, quite frankly, in my opinion. But you know, that's their job. That's their purpose. Their purpose is to roll little dung balls and, you know, enjoy the dung. That's like me saying that if I cannot also eat poop, that somehow it's demeaning to the dung beetle. If I, as a human woman, don't want to eat feces, then I am demeaning the dung beetle because I don't want to do what it's doing. That argument makes about as much sense as claiming that if we don't accept femininity in men, then we are somehow debasing women, right? We're somehow making women and femininity unvaluable. We're saying that it is not something to be desired because we don't want to see it in men. Dung beetles have a job, but I don't want to see people eating feces. Dung beetles mess with feces. Humans eat food, regular food, steak, lobster, you know what I'm saying. Nothing is demeaning by you not taking on the characteristics of something you are not, right? They'll also say, well, then you're demonizing men. Now, remember, I'm talking about infiltration because when homosexuals, or in this case, bisexuals, who are really just homosexuals pretending, when homosexuals come into a space, right? Hi, Biomi. When homosexuals come into a space, they bring their toxicity, which is that they don't like heteronormative behavior, as they call it. They don't like straight behavior. They don't want you to act heterosexual. So there's a lot of things that they attack. And women, we are very vulnerable to this because what we will see is we will see a black face, we will see a black woman, and we will resonate with what she's saying purely on her black femaleness. And if you really listen to a lot of these people talking, what you will hear are things that are destructive to our collective and really demeaning to women masquerading as unity. So that's my first point. They only like a certain type of man. They like a feminine man. I don't know, like, think about Prince. I know people claim that Prince was so sexy and all this, but I don't really know many black women who were into Prince. I'm not even gonna like sexually. Am I wrong? Are there women here in the chat? How many of you found Prince to be like masculine and sexy and like I've never been attracted to that man. I always thought he was gay, honestly. And I mean, I know that he did a lot of stuff with women and stuff like that, but his femininity was off-putting to me. Maybe it was just me. I don't know. But I just never got the understanding that that is attractive. When Will Smith's son started wearing skirts and stuff, I just didn't find that attractive. I don't want men to be robots, but I don't find men who are just like, if you're gonna cry as much as I cry, because catch me around, you know how we are. Our time of the month, we might cry, yell. We might shoot you. You never know what's going to go down. If I have to deal with that from a man, I don't want to deal with it. Right? Not that there's anything wrong with my femininity, but there's something wrong with you behaving like me. Right? So when we have these bisexual, homosexual individuals that enter our spaces, they start promoting things that are adverse to normal heterosexual behavior. Which brings me to something that I think is going to be a little bit more controversial, something that might be a little bit more controversial. Um, oh, he's a out gay. Okay, I didn't know he was out. Okay, well was he out when he first started wearing those skirts? I did not know he was out. Um, Something else that they try to demonize is pandering to men. Now, hear me out, ladies. Hear me out. Hear me out. Pandering to men, right? When you have individuals who don't really like men as sexual partners in your space, but you don't know that they don't like men as sexual partners, they will start making arguments that kind of make sense to you, but they're doing it because they don't really want to sleep with a guy. They really want to sleep with you, right? So they will say things like women should not pander to men. You shouldn't pander to the male gaze. You shouldn't care what men think, right? You shouldn't want to be considered somebody that could be wifeable. They say things like that. But here's the thing, if you're a heterosexual woman, it makes sense if you want to be attractive to men. Like there's nothing wrong with that. But they will literally try to spin it like, why would you want to look good for men? Why would you wear something because you think a man would like it? Well, girl, because I'm straight. I'm heterosexual. What do you mean? Like, yeah, I want to look good for myself, but I'm also heterosexual. I like men. So it would follow that I'm going to want male attention because how else am I going to mate with the people I like? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't make sense. But again, they infiltrate Black female spaces, right? And remember, somewhere between 19 and 23% of Black women identify as bisexual. This isn't even counting the ones that consider themselves fully lesbian. Just bisexual. Can you imagine? I was honestly shocked and appalled. I was shocked and appalled that somewhere between 19 and 23%, depending on the statistic that you choose to take, of Black women consider themselves bisexual. Is anybody else surprised by this, or is it just me that is surprised by this? I mean, I was very shocked to hear that high percentage, and that explains a lot of these conversations that are going on in Black female spaces. If 20% of the people, and I guarantee you they're going to be the ones in the chat doing the most, if 20% of the people in any given Black female space want to eat you out, they're going to tell you you ought not to pander to the male gaze. Like, what else are they going to say? The men are their literal competition. They're going to try to knock out the competition. Of course, they're going to tell you that it's demeaning to you to want to be attractive to men. Of course, they're going to tell you that you shouldn't care what men think because they're not heterosexual. Now, I'm not talking about being a pick me. Don't be retarded. We're not talking about being a pick me. I'm talking about just being straight, just being a straight woman. When you are a heterosexual woman, some things don't compute. If I'm straight, yeah, I want to attract the male gaze. If I'm straight, I might want to get married. That might be a goal for me, right? Because I'm straight. So I'm probably going to want to attract the person that I want to spend the rest of my life with, and he happens to have a penis, Ergo, I'm going to carry myself in a way that's going to attract people with penises. But if 20% of the people in a black female space are looking for sex with other women, of course we're going to start hearing these weird narratives that don't make sense for straight women to engage in. Of course we're going to hear this. Of course we're going to hear things don't match. Now, some men are literally trash. Like literally some men are no more than proverbial 12-year-old boys. I'm not talking about them. We don't care what they think, okay? Somebody who's mildly retarded, obviously we're not worried about what those men think. I'm talking about the men who are eligible and dateable, right? We care what they think because that's who we're trying to attract. But again, if 20% of your audience wants to have sex with you because they are into you, then of course they're going to be in the space covertly promoting women not doing things that attract men because their end game is not you attracting men. And what's funny is I see straight spaces for black women where this kind of rhetoric is actually running rampant. I'm like, how are we all freaking straight in here and you're talking about we shouldn't care what men think? That doesn't make sense. How are we all heterosexual in here and you're talking about we should not try to attract the male gaze? If you don't attract a man's gaze, how are you guys ever going to connect? Where's the demonicness in wanting to be attractive to the opposite sex when you're straight? 12 Keys to Freedom says, so that means you would be into trans women then because they have penises. Okay, come on. Come on. Now don't be dense. Don't be obtuse. Now, 12 Keys to Freedom, I believe that you have some level of intelligence. So please don't be obtuse. Do not be obtuse. Clearly, I'm not going to be attracted to a man in a freaking dress. Were you not here for the first part of the conversation where I said that gay people, this 20% of bisexual women, promotes attractiveness to men who are feminine? That is inclusive of men who put on dresses. If I'm straight, why would I be attracted to somebody who is a man who wants to be a woman? That's what I mean. Like sometimes, like no disrespect to you, but I'm going to say this. You guys, I'm not in a space tonight to deal with any kind of like, how can I put this? Help me to say this in a way that's not offensive. Help me to say this in a way that's not offensive, you guys. Um, Stupidity. I guess I can't say it in a way. I'm not, please don't be, if you're being intentionally, I tell my kids this all the time. I say there's nothing cute about playing stupid. It's not cute. There's nothing cute about playing dumb. Like literally zero. Nothing at all. It's not a cute look. Why would you want to, unless you're trying to maneuver yourself because you want somebody to think you're stupid because you don't want them to know your competition? That's the only time I could see like downplaying your intelligence. So I just don't think when we make comments and we think they're clever, but they really make us look dumb, like that's not a good move. That's not a good look. We're all adults. We're all semi-intelligent around here. Let's just, and if you weren't being intentionally obtuse, then my genuine answer to you, like if that was a real kind of question, which I don't think it was, I seriously hope it wasn't. I seriously hope it wasn't. But if it was a genuine question, that's my genuine answer. Like that makes little to no sense. If I'm straight, why would I want a guy that's in a dress just because he has a penis? That does not make sense at all. But anyway, let me move on. Um, so Nia said, when I'm out running errands, I truly do not want to attract the male gaze. Okay, that's fair. Like sometimes you don't want to be bothered, right? Sometimes you don't want to be bothered. That's very different than us running around saying we don't want men to be attracted to us. Heterosexual women want men to be attracted to them because they're straight, right? They're going to want the people they want to partner with to be attracted to them. So the next thing that's on my list is that they start to say that motherhood and things like that are not the pinnacle of womanhood. They start to downplay the very things that make us women. Now, am I saying that every woman needs to have a baby? Absolutely not. Everybody is not cut out for kids. Everybody doesn't want kids. I'm not saying that you all need to have babies. What I'm saying is that our wombs, the ability to create other human beings, is literally the essence of womanhood. Now, I don't want to hear any, like, there's always somebody in the room who's like, well, what about if a woman can't have kids? Does that make her less than a woman? What if she's sterile? The exceptions do not make the rule. The exceptions do not make the rule. The exceptions prove the rule. Literally, the identifying factor of our womanhood is not breasts, it's not big butts. It's the fact that a whole human being can come out of my body and then I can plop that little thing on my breast and nourish it without anybody's help. I've got that covered. That is perhaps the most beautiful thing about women. The fact that we literally propagate humanity. But when you have 20% of the room who don't want men because they're swinging in other directions, they start to demean that. And we know that women are being demeaned because there are some terms that have come out that have really blown my mind. Like, have you guys heard of chest feeding? Not breastfeeding, but chest feeding. Or there's another term out. Not women, human. It's people who menstruate. People who menstruate. See, these are the kind of shenanigans that start to, like, these debasing terms, like, I, people who menstruate? Is that, are we going to do that? So somebody out there is so tight that I have eggs, okay? And every month my fertile butt is either making a baby or it's popping out an egg and I have a menstruation cycle, that they don't even want to call me a woman anymore. They want to call me a person who menstruates. See, these are the games when we talk about, oh, we want to ally ourselves to this people, that people. That's the slippery slope. First, they infiltrate your spaces. They infiltrate heterosexual spaces with their BS about what's oppressive to women. They convince women that their wombs are oppressive. Your actual uterus and ovaries are oppressive. Giving birth to a child, you're bigger than that. How are you bigger than creating life? I want to know what bigger thing can you do than actually create a whole nother person? I mean, top that. Okay, so you invented something. I created a human being. All you little people wandering around the planet, running around, wreaking havoc, creating things, all you little inventors, guess who you had to break through the matrix of a woman? Like your whole existence is because of us. You had to pass through the matrix of us. I'm not really sure how you top that. If everybody on the planet literally has you to thank for their life, I'm not really sure how you could do something bigger than that. I'm very confused. So I don't understand, but like I said, when you have 20% of Black women considering themselves bisexual, so they don't really want to be with a man, they start to demean womanhood. Because of course, you can't be in love with your womanhood. You can't be in love with, and again, I'm not saying every woman needs to give birth to a baby. I'm just like, what bigger are you going to do than propagate the literal human race? What bigger thing can be accomplished than all of us not going extinct? Like, help it all make sense. I'm trying to understand, right? If you have a scientist that develops the most fascinating technology on the planet, he wouldn't even exist had a woman not birthed him. So I'm confused as to how there is something bigger than womanhood. How? How is there something bigger than that? How is this demeaning? But again, when you let certain people into heterosexual female spaces, they start saying things that don't make sense. They start saying weird crap to you. Why do you want to be a wife? Being a mother is not the pinnacle of womanhood. Oh, it's not? I see you're enjoying your life over there. You seem to be enjoying those two legs. You seem to be enjoying that mouth. It's funny how you enjoy your whole entire life, but the fact that somebody gave you that life is not the pinnacle of anything. Fascinating stuff. That's fascinating stuff. I don't understand it. Probably because I am straight and in my right mind. See, a lot of us heterosexual women are letting these weirdos get our minds twisted up. We're letting them screw with our heads. We're letting them convince us that something is wrong with us and our natural urge to be great. Who could probably get fined if someone plays? I see trans women get mad at someone. You said you guys in the gender neutral form. I don't even play the games. Like, I'm not going to jump through hoops with anybody because this is my thing. If you're not going to jump through hoops to accommodate me and my belief system, me and how I identify, I'm not about to jump through hoops for you. The thing is with the LGBTQ double A double I, they got so many letters now. I cannot. They even have some numbers or symbols. I don't know what's going on with them over there. Is they really want you to pander to them, but they are very intolerant of pandering to us. They're very intolerant. But these are twisted ideologies that we have, right? These are twisted ideologies that we have. So what did I say? They only like men when they're feminine. They try to tell women that are heterosexual that something is wrong with you wanting to be considered attractive or attracting the male gaze or doing things because men like it. They're saying this to heterosexual women. But it's crazy when somebody is transgender, they literally try to do everything they can to emulate attractive women. But when a woman does it, it's problematic. When we do it, it's bad. Bad you, straight lady. When they do it, it all makes sense, right? When they do it, it's for their protection. It's because they have to assimilate into society. When we do it, it's oppressive, right? When people are enjoying these lives that their mothers gave them, it's all good. When we want to give birth to a baby, it's oppressive. So it's funny, like I said, how you're enjoying living your life that some woman gave you, your mother birthed you, but pregnancy and having kids is oppressive. But this is the kind of weird stuff that ends up being discussed in heterosexual spaces when you allow the conversation to be steered by people who are not heterosexual. Something else is that this idea that you either have to be a sexual, right? Sexual versus simply a hoe. This is something that I noticed too. Now, the average straight woman, the average straight woman The average straight woman knows that there's more than two options. You're not literally a nun or a prostitute. But if you allow people into your spaces who have confusion in their minds, they start to have these, like they like to call them, binary conversations. And these are the terms they use: binary, performative, performance. They always are like everybody's performing, everything's a binary, everything's a social construct. You know what I mean? They start using these terms. That's how you know what they are, because they start using these bizarre terms, right? And your liberation is always through engaging in risky behavior. And anything other than that is oppression. So you're either a saint or a sinner, a saint or a sinner. There's no gray area or middle ground there. The only gray area they see is in sexuality and gender. When it comes to sexuality and gender, there's a bajillion gray areas. When it doesn't come to sexuality and gender, the only liberation that a woman can have is if she's actually literally a whole prostitute, which is something else too, is that they will tell you that prostitution, that's totally okay. That's the next level they go to it. Because now any woman knows, let me keep it 1,000%. Let's, as women, as heterosexual women, you know, if you sleep with one man, right? And you guys are very intimate, maybe for a day, a night, a couple days, or very intense for an evening, that you can be sore, right? You can be sore. Contrary to popular belief, vaginas are not just holes that don't feel anything. They can be sore. They can be bruised. They can feel sore, things like that, with just one partner. As women, as heterosexual women, do we honestly and truly believe that having sex with many, many different men a day is something that is not taxing on a woman's body, taxing on a woman's body, and that no woman should ever be so desperate for income that the only thing that she has to sell is herself, that the only way she can put food on her table is herself, that she has to struggle and scrimp unless she's willing to make herself a commodity? Isn't it crazy how the buying and selling of bodies is okay when that body is a woman's body? All of a sudden, it's okay to sell or rent, because really you're renting a person, you're renting a vessel. But they will have you think, what are you saying? Sex work? Oh, that's totally fine. Like liberating to women. Like, I will tell you, I view sex work as, and I don't care how liberated, how free they say it is. I've never heard a woman say, I do sex work, not unless she's lying, right? So you hear some women when they're doing interviews that men are going to listen to, they'll be like, I love it. Oh, it's so great. But honestly, most women will say it's the money. Like if I wasn't getting paid, I just wouldn't be out here having sex with X amount of men a day. I do it for the money. They do it for survival. But when you allow certain types of people into heterosexual spaces, they will try to convince you something that you know is not natural. You know how taxed your body can be from just being with one man. Heterosexual women know this, which is why we have typically always felt very, very, very much sympathy for women who are sexually exploited. We have always felt sympathy because we understand from a heterosexual woman's perspective, we understand what is being done to her body. And somewhere inside of us, we feel outraged that a woman would suffer through that. Somewhere inside of it's hard for us. We all truly know deep down that if that woman can make the same amount of money and not give all those men her body, she would take option B. But when you let certain people in your spaces whose minds are not together, whose minds are not right, they will have you thinking that somehow there's some sort of liberation and we should simply look past the fact that female flesh is being peddled or somebody has to rent her body out to perfect strangers at that so that she can eat and have a home. But this is what I'm talking about. As heterosexual women, all of these things that I've talked about during this live, we know what it is. But because our spaces get infiltrated, we start engaging in nonsensical conversations that are adverse to our very nature as right thinking heterosexual women. And, we have to really put our foot down. We have to put our foot down against this stuff. We are straight. We are heterosexual women. No, we don't want feminine men. That is not attractive. And it's not because anything is wrong with femininity. It's because, in the same way, I'm not about to eat poop or roll a feces ball the way a dung beetle does, is the same way that I'm not going to interchange my nature with a man. Everything and every creature on this planet has a purpose and are made in a certain way. It is not debasing to my femininity as a woman to say that I don't want to see myself duplicated in a man. It's not debasing to me as a woman for me to say that I don't want to see a man emulate me. That is how a right thinking heterosexual woman thinks. We are not attracted to it because we are not attracted to ourselves. We are attracted to something opposite of us. We're attracted to men. Therefore, when we see men who remind us of women, we are not attracted to that because we're straight. We are heterosexual. So it is natural for us to have an aversion to that. But then you let people who are not straight come into straight female black spaces and tell you something that you know is not true as a straight woman because they don't think that way. And you don't even recognize that you are being reconditioned to think like a gay person. You don't even recognize that that's happening to you. You don't even recognize that some of the ideals that you're adopting are homosexual ideals. You love the gay guy. You love the trans person. I don't mean love like, I have gay people in my family. I love them, but I don't approve of their lifestyle. I don't mean like that. I mean, you covet a weakened form of masculinity because you've had the wrong people in your ear and you have forgotten what it is to be a heterosexual woman. You forgot what that looks like. You're dibbling and dabbling in the wrong pool. Your train of thought is off. The same thing with the desire for having babies or marriage. You're dibbling and dabbling in a pool of people who don't desire heterosexual intimacy. And because 19 to 23% of Black women are bisexual, and again, this does not even count those who are fully lesbian, just looking at the bisexual women, like I said, 20% is a high amount of people to be in any given heterosexual space spewing rhetoric that is not heterosexual in nature. You literally have straight women out here thinking that there's something wrong with them getting dressed and considering if a man might be attracted to them. Can you imagine a world where you're straight thinking that there's something wrong with wanting to be attractive to the opposite sex? That doesn't even compute. These are things that don't make sense. You're straight, but you think that giving birth to a baby is oppressive? You think it's an insult to be told like the full essence of your womanhood is achieved through childbirth? Oh, but some people can't have babies. Well, the exceptions don't prove the rule. For you to even form the word some people can't have babies means that you have a mouth. And if you have a mouth, that means that your mouth, your legs, your toes, your fingers came through a vagina or you grew in a woman's body, C-section. The point is you were incubated in one of us. So for you to sit there after a woman gave you life and then try to tell women that them giving life isn't the pinnacle of womanhood, us giving life is the pinnacle of this whole planet. That is heterosexual thinking. Okay? That's why men get out there and protect us. That's why you will get yoked for grabbing on a child or grabbing on a woman. Because on some level, heterosexual men and women know what the deal is. But we have let these gay ideologies infiltrate our spaces, and we have straight women out here talking like they are literally homosexuals and don't even realize that they have homosexual talking points. You're just talking like a homosexual, calling yourself straight. Goodness Rita is a lesbian, and she's one of my mods. We won't agree on this, she and I. And you guys might be surprised that a lot of lesbian women, now Goodness Rated is not bisexual. You're not bisexual, right? Goodness Rated, you're just a lesbian, right? Just like a straight up lesbian. I don't know of any bisexual women that watch my channel, but I do know that I have several subscribers who are lesbians. And I'm going to tell you something that one of them told me. Hopefully, she doesn't mind me telling you this. She was telling me when we were talking, she said, I could be with a man. She said, I could be with a man, I could love a man. This is what she told me, a lesbian. She's like, I could be with a man, I could love a man. I just don't want to. I was like, that's the realest thing anybody ever said. You can't be more real than that. But this message is not for those women. This message is for you straight women. If you're heterosexual, then you should have a heterosexual mindset. And you should make no apologies for that. Because gay people aren't making apologies for their mindset. I guarantee you, Goodness Rated is one of my mods. She is a lesbian. Goodness Rated, are you about to apologize for being a lesbian and having the mindset you have? Absolutely not. Because you will definitely see Goodness in the chat with a wrench, repping her personal belief system. So then why as heterosexuals do we always waver and feel like we can't be fully heterosexual and we adopt these ideologies that have nothing to do with our sexuality, that are adverse to our sexuality, to our very essence? Right, a tall hedge, exactly. Be as bold in your heterosexuality as they are in their homosexuality. You need not make any sort of concessions. You need not make any sort of concessions. And honestly, it is the height of respect because that is exactly what they ask of us. When you see the trans people out there, they want you to fully let them rock their transgenderism. But we aren't allowed to rock in our heterosexuality. And that's not cool. That's not going to work. Look, I'm not going to stay what I've been on here 44 minutes. I don't want to go over an hour on this. I'm just saying take time to absorb and think about it because there are a lot of things that we are assimilating as heterosexual women that are adverse to our heterosexuality. We have allowed people to tell us that wanting to beautify ourselves and attract men, that there's something wrong with that. But you're straight. We have been told that uh, wanting to be a mother that we've been brainwashed into wanting to be mothers? Maybe have you ever thought that the fact that we have a uterus makes us want to be mothers? Have you ever thought that being a mother is literally the biggest thing you could do? That there's not one person on this planet that cannot literally be forced to bow the knee to the fact that a woman opted to let them live, allowed her body to carry them in there? Even the doggest trash of mothers. I'm not saying every woman is a good mother. I'm not saying that because we know some trash women can give birth too. But it doesn't change the fact that she wouldn't have made it here unless you crossed her matrix. And yet we have allowed people to come into our spaces and make us feel that there is something belittling about their own existence. How is somebody going to come and tell you that desiring to be a mother, that feeling that your womb is super important, how are they going to come tell you that something is wrong with that when they had to come through somebody's womb to get here? I'm like, y'all better fall back. You sound crazy as hell out here. Now, I've given birth to kids. When I look at you bobbling your head around talking about how oppressive childbirth is, I'm thinking to myself, the nerve of you. The nerve of you to put your mouth to a woman's womb when you literally were incubated in a woman's womb and a woman popped you out of her vagina and even gave you the life to sit here and be up in my face talking crazy. Like, people need to be slapped purely on the purpose to even fix their mouth to even say some crazy stuff like that about womanhood. Like, you sound crazy out here. You're enjoying a whole life because of a woman. But motherhood is some sort of mediocrity. You think going out there, I'm not saying that having a career and all of that cannot be fulfilling. I'm saying that I guarantee your career can't grow legs, grow a body, start walking around. You know what I'm saying? That's not what's going to happen. I'm saying all those people at your job had to come out of a woman's body. I don't know if you could say that for anything that you invent or anything that you do. Who else can say that? Nobody else can say that. So, as heterosexual women, we allow people to come in here and make us feel some kind of way about our heterosexuality, about our bodies, about our femininity. You have whole men out here wanting to be women, and their whole goal in life is to be unclockable. They want to be unclockable. They want you to look at them and not even know that they are men. That's the height for transgenderism. Just looking like you aren't even actually a man is the height of it for them. But they're going to tell you, a heterosexual woman, that something is wrong with you because you want to look good. They could be all the woman they want to be. They could get boobs, they could put on a dress, they could have a full face of makeup and a wig. But if you beautify yourself as a heterosexual woman, you are a pick me. You're simply trying to attract male attention. Well, baby, I'm straight. So if I walk in a room and every man at the room stares at me, mission accomplished. Okay, quite frankly. Quite frankly, let me just keep it real. Mission accomplished. I'm heterosexual. That's not a negative. If I walk into a room and men are like, damn, she's fine. Well, you know what? I'm straight. That works for me. Sure, thank you. I accept the compliment. Beautiful. Because I know I didn't squeeze myself into this dress so that I could not be complimented. Are you kidding me? But let the wrong people in your spaces, and they will have you thinking something is wrong with you. You'll be out here wonder why. Like, well, should I wear this dress? Should I be pretty? Should I? No, this is crazy. This is madness. We don't even recognize that things have been infiltrated. Like I said, they have us thinking twisted on everything. On everything. A woman knows that sex carries a greater risk for her. A woman knows that having sex with a man, look, girl, he's pounding his thing into you. Okay? It's like taking a hammer to a wall. No woman wants to be that promiscuous in the first place. Being a hoe is not a benefit to a woman. Not because society told you, because I don't want my walls all bruised up. Like, what the hell? I don't want to have sex with 500 people. I don't need to be that liberated. I'm good. Okay? I'm good. I mean, if you're a heterosexual woman, sometimes you'll be freaking sore. You'll be sitting down sore. 2 days later, you feel all sore and stuff. Nobody wants to be a hoe out here. Nobody really wants to do that. No, nobody straight does. Sex is not an easy walk in the park for women. And yet, if you let the wrong people in your spaces, oh well, you know what? All you need to do is be half naked and having sex with a bunch of people, so you can be liberated. Liberation is just having sex with everybody. Since when? Since when do I want to? Since when do I want to tire out my body to be liberated? I'm good. Most straight women are good on that, especially because you'll run down the majority of men you meet aren't even going to appreciate the fact that you gave them anything like that. So really, I'm not about to give you any. Because you know how a straight woman is, a heterosexual woman, we want to be appreciated. Look, if you get a piece of me, I want you to feel like you won the jackpot. That's how most of us think. Like, that's why we'll be in our feelings if a man's really not feeling us like that after we sleep with them. We're like, what the hell? How are you not feeling me? Like, did I not just share my body with you? Let's keep it real, straight ladies. You know how we view sex. So why are we buying into these tropes that are adverse to our nature? Things that don't even make sense in execution. You know this doesn't make any sense in execution. You know this for a fact. Well, goodness rated, we know women who are promiscuous, but let's keep it real about women being promiscuous with men. Typically, women that are promiscuous with men have been taught that their value lies in their ability to get a man to sleep with them. And normally, women who are very promiscuous with men are always hoping that after a man sleeps with her, he will choose to be in a relationship with her. Or you have some women whose self value is just so low that they just seek any type of attention. But these are the exceptions to the rules, right? And normally, even I'm gonna let's keep it 10,000% because I mentor young women. Let's keep it 10,000%. Normally, early on in life, a woman might, right? And men talk about this because men know it. Men know this about us. And if you hear some of these trash men talking, they talk about this. Normally, when a woman is very young and doesn't know any better, she thinks that a guy is going to be as invested in her after she sleeps with him as she is invested in him. And after she sleeps with a few people, she recognizes it don't work like that with men. So she stops wanting to sleep with everybody. Normally, promiscuous women start off promiscuous, but then they stop being promiscuous because it is not fulfilling for them. Can we keep it 10,000% as heterosexual women right now? We know that this is the case. And what's more is the men know that this is the case. That's why they're always talking about the woman who slept around in her 20s, but then got into her 30s and then tried to act all chaste. And this is what I'm saying. Like, you know what it is. And so we really have to stop listening. YouTube is a very tricky place because I've been listening. I listened to a few things over the past few days, and I was just like, this is some real trickery around here. Like the wordplay is really good, the presentation is really good. You know what I mean? It sounds really good when they're talking, but it just doesn't sit right. You got to hear that kind of BS for time after time after time. You have to hear this, you shouldn't want this, and this is oppressive, and how dare you want to get married, and who would want to be a housewife and stay at home with kids? Ugh, that's so gross. Really? Really? When deep down, every woman that has to work who has kids, like, I guarantee you, 95% of them, I'll give it 90% of them, would love to stay home, have somebody take care of them, and all they had to do was be beautiful and manage a house and raise their babies. I've never walked across a woman who just gave birth to a child and has a baby at home who's like, I'm so happy to be back at work. I didn't want to stay and hang out with my kid. I mean, am I saying it doesn't happen? It happens, but that's not normally how we feel. We would love to be able to take our sweet time and enjoy our babies while they're young. We would love to have the luxury of staying home. We would love to wake up in the morning and all we had to do was clean up and make ourselves beautiful and give our babies some kisses. Most heterosexual women would not feel oppressed by that. Hell, we're trying to get that. We're out here talking about we don't want to do 50-50 anymore, half of us. I just want I just want to be beautiful and take care of a house. Most women can't even imagine that as a real possibility in this day and age. But yet we'll have people telling us it's oppressive, and then we'll be buying into that mess, knowing deep down that's really what half of us really want anyway. 90% of us would prefer that life, okay? But you have people out here flipping the script on us. I've never met a woman work a 16-hour day and been like, man, I loved working that 16-hour day. Oh, goodness sakes. Love that. That was just amazing. Oh, yeah. That's great. Love worrying about these bills. Oh, that's just so wonderful. Oh, goodness. Oh, I missed. Oh, he said his first word and I missed it. Oh, who cares? I don't care about my baby's first word. I've never heard a woman say that. Okay. Now, I'm not saying they're not out there. I'm just saying the exceptions don't prove the rule. So, why are we letting people who have zero interest in living a heterosexual lifestyle tell us that the stuff that we want is problematic or oppressive? So, goodness rated, I'm serious. I'm serious, goodness rated. Let's keep it real. Remember the other day when you were up here, goodness rated? Let's keep it real. When you were up here the other day, and goodness rated is a very pretty woman, right? When she was up here the other day, I think you had just got off of work. Remember you were on the panel? And, you know, one of your little ones was being flippy in the mouth and you weren't in the mood. You were probably like, I have worked a long day and what I'm not about to do is come here and listen to you. Now, goodness rated, you know, if you did not have to put in all that hard work, you're still a woman for sure. You would like to be able just to take a freaking break. Keep it real. Tell me, goodness, wouldn't you just love to just take a break and just chill out? Maybe go get a massage, go get a pedicure, girl, and just not have to worry about it. You know what I mean? Just not have to worry about what bill was going to get paid, what was going to happen. I'm not saying let's take the men part out of it, just that life, like not having to worry about that. You want to win the lottery? This is what I'm saying. Because if you win the lottery, we could be at the spa together, goodness. I'll go to the spa with you. We could get a body wrap, right? So this is what I'm saying. This is what I am saying. I don't even amongst those of us, that's just a woman for you. But this is what I'm saying, like going back to my heterosexual women, like we cannot let people demonize our nature and make us feel guilty like something is wrong with us if there are certain things that we want. What you want is not unhealthy. What you want is what you are. Do not, like, these spaces are so integrated, sometimes it's hard to separate your thoughts as a black heterosexual woman from everybody else's thoughts. But you need to not be, you be unapologetic. It's unapologetic and put people in their place. Some of this stuff is very degrading to women. And these faux attempts to liberate women, they are very degrading toward us. And it is disgusting. And as a woman, as a mother, as a heterosexual, I will not have my motherhood degraded. I will not have the fact that I am a homemaker degraded. I will not have the fact that I want to rest in my own femininity degraded. I will not be guilted into liking men that are feminine because I'm not attracted to anything like me. I'm not going to be told that there's some liberation in whoredom. Just no. And I'm not going to apologize for not pandering to those ideologies. If everybody else gets to live in their so called truth, damn it, I'm going to live in mine too. And that's where I'm leaving this live, you guys. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to get out of here. Yeah, I don't like when they put down homemakers. That's really some bullcrap. They demean us as women, and it's not okay. They keep telling us nobody can define us, and yet they keep trying to define us. Back off. We've got this. Y'all worry about your circle. Let us worry about ours. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later.